Yo, Still Bills, what's the dizzle, man? Yo, peep game, man. Yo, man, listen, I can't do it. I had a bit of a scare with my grandfather this morning. I didn't have to work. Man, the headspace I was in driving to check on my grandfather this morning was really unsettling, man. I remember my grandmother passed about 8 years ago, and he was right on the doorstep of death with her. They was about to be in marital bliss in the heavens. You dig what I'm saying? But my mom and pops moved in with him and restored him back to health. But being in that mind state, I was really back in that mind state driving over there. Because I seen his health just really beginning to deteriorate. He was just really deteriorating in front of our eyes, and I just couldn't bear to look at it, man. It just really was choking me up, man. So I was getting in that mindset to go back over there. Come to find out, no, his phone is fucked up, his hearing is gone. He dropped his hearing aid up under his bed, so we good. So I'm back in high spirits, man. But I want to rap about this Rolly Romero fight, man, with Tank, man. Congratulations to Tank on winning the fight. I can't necessarily say that it was a good win, because I just don't think that highly of Rolly, man. My thing is this, man. Rolly, I told everybody I'm not watching this fight. I'm not ordering it. I'm not about to inconvenience myself to go and watch this fight. It's not happening, because I'm just that uninvested in Tank. But I see the level of talent that this kid possesses, man. I honestly do. But I was like, if it falls in my lap, I'll watch it. And the privilege of being on Facebook is motherfuckers can get, they stream shit. And they showed up, streamed it. And I was able to watch that, man. And what I saw, let's put shit in perspective real quick, man. Rolly got outlined in chalk in 6 rounds. 6 rounds. So we get all that, but it didn't happen in the fashion that I was expecting it to happen. Meaning, I was expecting pure and utter dominance from Tank. I'm seeing Tank getting, not Tank, but I'm seeing Rolly work behind the jab. I'm seeing Rolly land the right hand at will, you know what I'm saying, and pretty consistently. I'm seeing this from Rolly, and I'm like, what in the fuck is going on here? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, it's going to take about a round or so to figure him out, get his patterns down, and really begin to impose his will on Rolly, and I'm not seeing none of that. I'm seeing Tank uncomfortably backing up. That's alarming. That's alarming, man, because when you look at now, granted, Jackson Mariñez has been, he's 5'10", so he has the length and the length to be able to offset a lot of the shit that Rolly was doing. Tank offset it as well. But when you look at Jackson Mariñez completely outclassed dude. I didn't see him winning a round. I'm looking at Tank and I'm looking at Rolly winning rounds. And I'm like, how the fuck does that happen, bro? Like, Tank winning rounds? Not Tank. Rolly winning rounds against Tank? That's kind of alarming. Now he ironed him out in 6 rounds. But we have to fully unpack a fight. We have to fully unpack a fight. The same niggas who was, he knocked him out. Them same niggas is the same dudes who was, anytime. Billy Joe Saunders was able to string together a few middle rounds against Canelo. Oh man, he was losing that fight until he knocked him out. He was losing that fight until he knocked him out. He was losing that fight until he knocked him out. Which I don't think he was losing the fight, personally. But it's like, we gotta learn to keep the same energy, my nigga. Like, why is it blasphemous when Canelo loses a string of rounds, despite him winning the earlier rounds? He loses a string of rounds. That's alarming right there. But when Tank, not just losing rounds, but losing rounds to a 2-division world champion with a solid resume, it causes to concern when it's Canelo. But when it's Tank, it's like, oh, he knocked him out in 6. And when you look at the skill difference between the two of them, Billy Joe Saunders has a very solid skill set and he's proven that against solid competition. It's, nobody wants to unpack the situation in totality. So when we look at Tank, I'm looking at a dude with limited skill set, placing punches on Tank, and not just winging big shots. No. Yeah, because it's Rolly, but it's also like, how is he able to effectively do this shit? What happens when it's not brawn and, you know, size that's backing you up, but it's something else? What happens when you can't stay in front of an opponent? You know what I'm saying? What happens if you face the likes of a Nakatani? Or what do you do? What do you do in front of a Teofimo Lopez? What do you do if you're being backed up by Rolly, somebody who has nothing but size to bring to the table? What happens when it's Teofimo Lopez standing in front of you? When it's size and skill? What happens when it's Lomachenko when you can't seem to stay in front of the opponent? This is the problem when you fight the level of competition that you fight. Now, granted, people fight up and down to their level of competition. Maybe Rolly he saw what was in front of him, so he was able to perform a little bit better under the circumstances. I have no other choice but to implement this game plan and stick to it if I want to be successful. So in order for me to be successful, I have to stick. I have to work a game plan. So and stick to it. So maybe it was Tank or Rolly playing up to that level of competition, and Tank somewhat playing down to the level of his competition. That's a fact as well. Like it definitely is. But when your level, because your level of playing down to Rolly was allowing him to win rounds, like, and be competitive in those rounds that he was losing. That's alarming. That's very alarming. That's alarming. You know what I'm saying? You walked him into a shot, absolutely. And, you know, you got the win. Congrats on the win. But we also have to learn how to completely unpack a fight and look at the shit that's like, I don't know, man. Somebody, I don't know, bro. This is what happens when you fight the level of opposition that you fight, man. You stagnate yourself. You stagnate yourself, and when you stagnate yourself, when it's time for you to perform against better opposition, you may not be able to perform to the level that we are expecting you to. There's no way Rolly should have ever been in this fight, bro. Granted, he got knocked out in 6, but after round 1, it should have been clear domination. It should have been like, yeah, Tank is beating the shit out of Rolly. It shouldn't have been competitive like that. In those 6 rounds. In those 6 rounds. You got the job done, yes. But it was competitive against Rolly. And Rolly is not a dude that we're looking at like, man, he next up. No. Jackson Marinez, granted, he had the height and the length to offset Rolly. But it was a flawless victory. It was a flawless victory. Tank he had blemishes on him, dog, because the fucking right hand and the jab was getting through. Because they want to protect the investment, they're gonna go like, bro. And this is another thing, like, I was listening to, you know, Tank is like, oh man, it's still Mayweather Promotions. It's like, man, you're comfortable and complacent with the competition that you're fighting. And they're gonna continue to coddle him. Because what did Leonard Ellerbe say at the press conference? They talk about these fights as big fights, and they not big fights. So you're telling me Mario Barrios, Leo Santa Cruz, Isaac Cruz, and Rolly Romero were big fights? There's no way you can tell me with a straight face that those were big fights. Bigger than Lomachenko, bigger than Devin Haney, bigger than Teofimo Lopez, bigger than Josh Taylor. There's no way you're going to sit here and convince me that those are bigger fights. What they're doing is they're going to, in order to negate the danger that lies ahead of him if he was to take those fights, they'll completely negate him and dust them off as if them fights ain't really that big. Them ain't big fights. Like, don't nobody give a fuck about them fights. Like, there's no demand for those fights. The dude sold 18,000 with fucking Rolly Romero. You don't think he could sell out Vegas with a Lomachenko or Teofimo or Devin Haney or George Kambosos or Ryan Garcia? Of course you know that. The thing is, you don't want to put him in the line of fire to where the investment is being compromised because he will possibly lose. That's what that is. So instead of you doing that, you want to put him in these bullshit fights that he's not getting any better in fighting in. This is what I mean with them, man. It's publicity, you know, publicity stunts and media tactics and shit like that. Isaac Cruz is being fucking he's co-main eventing fights because of how he did against Tank when we don't even know where Tank is at. They're gonna try and get behind Isaac Cruz and push him because he went the distance with Tank, but we don't know where Tank is at. We don't know. Yeah, cool. You knocked out Rolly. Whoop-de-doo. Now, when are you going to step up to the plate and allegedly defend these alleged fucking three champions that you won in 3 divisions? These belts that you won in 3 different divisions. They are stunting the growth of this dude. They are stunting the growth of this dude. Them ain't big. Ryan Garcia ain't a big fight, but Rolly Romero is. Devin Haney isn't a big fight, but Isaac Cruz is. Teofimo Lopez isn't a big fight, but Leo Santa Cruz is. Lomachenko isn't a big fight, but Mario Barrio is. Josh Taylor isn't a big fight. Those are 4 or 5 different opponents that can lament his legacy. But y'all refuse to put him in. You refuse to throw him in the Lions Den because the owner and the face of Mayweather Promotions has predicated himself on perfection. So for one of his squad, for one of his people, a fighter in his stable, the main fighter that he's pushing, for him to lose a fight would be the end of that company. That is the most asinine, fucking ridiculous. It's just dumb. It's stupid as fuck. It's the dumbest shit in the world, man. There is if you lose, you lose, but it can be beneficial to lose. But y'all don't want to see that because y'all, oh man, 50-0, 50-0, 50-0. So y'all won't put him in the fights that he needs in order to grow as a fighter. Because y'all just, oh man, we don't need to put him in those type of dangerous fights. He can fight, oh, you motherfucker. He can just fight any old body. And we just supposed to accept it. Fam, you ironed out Rolly. That's not a flex, my nigga. That's not a flex. Congrats on the win, but nah, bro. You have to you got to get away from Leonard and them, man, because they're gonna run. They're gonna sully your name. They're gonna sully your name. And when you retire and you realize that you not Hall of Fame bound after the years you put into putting your life in jeopardy in order to compete at this level, and you not Hall of Fame bound, you gonna look at them like, yo, why would y'all do that to me? Floyd is a first ballot Hall of Famer because of the road work that he went through, the gauntlet of opponents that he went through in order to get there, in order to achieve the goals that he achieved. You haven't, and it's fucked up because he's enabling you to do that. Like, he's justifying it, him and Leonard. You're going nowhere fast, man. And they're gonna try to find a way to get you back in there with him because they see the walls are closing in. Eventually, you're gonna have to fight somebody, or maybe you don't, because they can sell you and market you without actually having to fight the cats that you want to fight. But eventually, you're gonna hear from the soil, the people who root for you, the hardcores who root for you, and they're gonna demand that you step up. And by the time that you do that, you may not be equipped to to do it effectively because of the level of competition you've been fighting at, man. Food for thought. Deuces.